I haven't been around for a little while. Been in the temple, been on sabbatical, and but I felt it's time to talk a little bit more about this profound phenomenon going on with Pluto going into Aquarius, because I know that some of you have been asking about that, and we've had some discussions in class, and I've been thinking about it, and also coinciding with this full moon in Leo, and because this full moon in Leo, the sun's conjunct Pluto, so there's something important about this one, I think. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Pluto going into Aquarius, and this full moon in Leo is really a good opportunity to dig down into what it means. You know, Pluto's been sort of dancing slowly into permanently staying in Aquarius, and it's been taking its time, as Pluto always does. That lonely little powerhouse at the edge of the solar system. It went in for the first time into Aquarius on the 23rd of March 2023, and skirted back into Capricorn in June 23, and then very recently, like last week, is back into Aquarius, moving some more of our psychological furniture into its new digs in preparation for a very long stay until 2044. It's going to have another trip back into Capricorn in September 24, maybe to declutter some more from the past, and it'll stay there until November. By then, the lease will definitely be up and it will be done, and it's a big move and something that hasn't happened for over 200 years, from 1777 to 1798. So what happened back then is probably the question to have a look at, really, and the most notable event perhaps in our collective memory and consciousness and history is the American Revolution. That was fought for freedom and independence from Britain. And given what's happening in the USA at the moment, it's interesting to watch that part of the world for sure. But Pluto's not just about wars, it's about philosophy. And the late 18th century heralded the Age of Enlightenment, which really moved beyond the sacred or away from the sacred, and brought forth reason as a new way of what to worship as a god. And we've greatly benefited from this philosophical revolution and its emphasis on freedom and liberty and democracy and reason and thought and all of that. And it heralded a change and a shift in the way that we saw power, and also the way we viewed faith. So with Pluto back in Aquarius, perhaps we're being forced to redefine and transform our relationship on and collectively, and also with faith in general and the sacred. The world has become, I think you would agree, very literal and dissociated from intuition and creativity, the ineffable. It's the unknown, the mysterious, and what lies between words and thoughts, and what we really no longer respect after the Enlightenment, the concept that we're in some sort of flow much greater than ourselves, and about which we should be perhaps more mindful, respectful, and even honouring. And this kind of flow thinking is deemed by the mainstream as weird or woo-woo or childish, or often just as ridiculous. And so the Enlightenment brought an awakening to the rights of human needs for the personal freedom and truth, and for thinking rather than believing, but at the cost perhaps of our connection to the sacred and to our humanity, conversely enough. So Pluto back in Aquarius with all its toing and froing, it may be just clearing its throat in a way. maybe it's about to speak to us about a new phase of understanding. And I don't think we realize what that might be. It's hard to know what that might be exactly. But it's not just about technology and what freedoms that will bring, not just about the worrying reliance on AI and where that might be leading, but also about rediscovering what lies beyond the material, perhaps literal or the measurable, or grabbable, what lies beyond the individual also. After all, Aquarius is about the collective and the humanitarian needs. Perhaps manipulating the world into an algorithm that makes some people's lives in the West easier, more abundant, user-friendly also reduces us and manipulates us into a silent and unseen type of captivity where we become dislocated from each other and quite lonely, and the needs of those less fortunate from those people who are less fortunate, from our own needs. We become dissociated from that. There's always wars in the world, but I really wanted to talk about what Pluto and Aquarius might mean for us collectively and individually, and it's really speculative. The truth is messy and is always, in some ways, unknown. But we are not yet, thankfully, machines working to another's agenda, or are we? Again, Pluto is about shifting our ideas around power, and Pluto usually does this by bringing us to the graveside. The clock, apparently, to our destruction is only 3 minutes away. So Pluto has come for the next shift with a shovel in his hand. And here's what I think he might be unearthing, killing off, transforming. After all, Pluto is the planet of death. That comes first, and then rebirth. And we could probably just think about Christ, the most quintessential symbol of this journey in our collective mythos. So what does this mean, Pluto going into Aquarius? Perhaps it means, and these are just some thoughts and some ideas to rummage around in, but we have to be careful that we don't cut ourselves off from ourselves, cut ourselves off from our humanity, that we hold to and develop the idea and of the value of the human organic form and its unique ability to create beauty and meaning from loss and suffering and mess and surrender. We need to protect our understanding of brotherhood, sisterhood, fraternity, and our shared humanity. What does it mean to be human? We need perhaps to find love and compassion for that humanity and let go of the urge to transcend and supersede it. Pluto and Aquarius perhaps will test our resolve to hold true to our humanity in many, many ways. Pluto perhaps will break down the New Age ideals, this push to constantly be better, to perfect, to dissociate while we try to save the world. We may feel very lonely doing it, to rise above the dirt and grime and suffering of existence. At what cost? This is the cost to the heart, perhaps, to beauty, to truth, to love. Love is born out of our imperfections. Beauty is born out of our brokenness. Truth is born out of our not knowing. The constant push to know and have power out over our lives just drives us to subjugate our humanity, our fragility, our messiness, our contradictions, which are the vital pillars of understanding and fertility in the garden of our existence. Pluto has come, perhaps, to rehabilitate our hubris as a collective. We have to be careful that, like Prometheus, we do not steal immortality as AI, artificial shiny reflection. We find ourselves chained to a rock forever, with our liver, our heart eaten out every day. In other words, that we don't sacrifice, as Jupiter points, the liver, meaning, beauty, love in our search for immortality and perfection. We can look at this individually by allowing ourselves to be as we are now, to find beauty and love and meaning as we are. without remodification, working on ourselves, transforming ourselves, perfecting ourselves, to find what we are looking for in ourselves as we are now, as we've been, as a conglomerate of many messy experiences and failed relationships and dreams, heartaches, loss, confusion, and in the tangle of passionate loves and longings that nourish the wild acres of our hearts into an artwork defiant of delineation and criticism. You, us, our being, art right now is a gift, really over which we have no control. We are creative, unexpected, messily conceived artwork. All true art is that points to something intangible beyond getting it right. So individually, Pluto and Aquarius may be about embracing our humanity and reimagining who we really are. It's an angst. If you haven't noticed, I'm sure you have, being human. That angst, though, is vital. It's the catalyst for unconditional love, for instinctual creativity. It's the crucible, the making of meaning. So individually, we can find eternity and perfection as the defiantly and beautifully broken that we are. And in this brokenness and imperfection, find love, unconditional love. We can do this individually. In fact, it needs to start there, but also collectively, by questioning our seemingly ceaseless part to absolute control of the earth, ourselves, and others. Pluto perhaps forces us to surrender, to wave the white flag. It forces us to humility and into the letting go. It is Pluto, after all. And in that letting go, we might find a doorway back into the sacred and into an understanding of true Aquarian oneness. So perhaps Pluto has come to teach us humility and surrender, to teach us to live within and love those dark, messy, uneven, contradictory places within us that define us as humans, to teach us new ways of understanding born out of not knowing. We must unknow before we know anew. It will break down our hubris, perhaps, maybe with lightning bolts, but also with wild fertility, to disrupt our ideals as a collective. Aquarius is mind, our minds, how we think. Perhaps we have become too literal as a species. Maybe some cave painting by the fire is probably due. So welcome, Pluto, but take heed, we mustn't continue to dissociate, to be better, quicker, faster, yes. It's too late, of course, I know, the genie's already out of the bottle. Man has fire and doesn't need God anymore. But we must be careful of what we ask of that genie. We must be careful what we do with our 3 questions. Could I suggest that Pluto Aquarius is going to force us to evaluate those questions and to choose the 3 questions to ask the genie? Could I suggest that we ask the 3 most important questions as Leo Tolstoy suggested? Who is the most important person? What is the most important time? And what is the most important thing to do? I'm not going to answer those. I'm going to leave that with you. But maybe just a little hint. The pronoun you doesn't perhaps feature in any of those answers. Anyway, just throwing it out there. So Pluto has come perhaps to help us love our humanity and to love humanity, not conquer it, not conquer the earth and have power over it, but reimagine our relationship to it, to reimagine our relationship to the sacred, to reimagine our relationship to each other, It's a sign of loving friendship, and perhaps this really indeed is the new age that we're longing for. With this full moon in Leo, I'm calling it the Leo Tolstoy moon. It's really asking those three questions. And perhaps I can give you the answer. I'm sure you already know what the answer is to that first question. Who is the most important person? And the answer to that question is the person in front of you right now. And Aquarius speaks of that consciousness of other and our oneness with each other. And it will be very interesting to see how Pluto in Aquarius helps us, guides us, prompts us, maybe jolts us into doing that. So this full moon in Leo, how can you be a better friend to you? How can you shine the light within with that loving friendship to your soul, meeting yourself where you are right now and loving yourself where you are right now and seeing the beauty and the sacred in what is right now. So just some thoughts on this full moon in Leo. I send my love to you all and blessings. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.